Welcome into another edition of Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. I don't want to overstep. I don't want to be too optimistic, Keith, but I'm pretty sure the 76ers are winning the NBA title after this weekend. All that and more in this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network out there. And this particular episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Yeah, that's right. FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Keith Pompey, your 76ers beat writer. Marc Farzetta, Philadelphia sports talker. We're pretty much covered everything, but when it comes to this episode, comes to this show, obviously it's the 76ers. Keith, I am ecstatic with what we saw over the weekend from the Philadelphia 76ers. First and foremost, let me just get this out of the way. I don't care, Keith. I don't care if the New York Knicks just played 10 games in 10 days. The Sixers at MSG do not win basketball games. They won that basketball game. VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey took it over. Paul George only gave you 7 points. Joel Embiid didn't play. And then they come back. Oh, and also they played well in the third quarter of that game against the Knicks. Unlike they played Saturday night against the Dallas Mavericks, where they were terrible in the third quarter and got blown out in the third quarter and still were able to rally in the fourth, much thanks to Tyrese Maxey. And all the things you got with no Embiid, no Paul George in game 2 of the back-to-back. I can't help but to be ecstatic about this 76ers team and the way they performed over the weekend.
Yeah, you have to be. Now, here's the thing. It is true that the New York Knicks were tired. I would say that. But no one told them to go ahead and keep winning in the in-season tournament and not getting a break like everyone else did. Success comes with, there is a cost to be successful. But I know a lot of people are saying that, but you are correct. When we talk about that game, the 76ers, they continued, they continued to do all the things that they were supposed to do. VJ Edgecombe, is impressive. I'm just going to tell you this. We've been looking at Jalen Brunson for the last couple of years where he's been an unstoppable player, right? No one has been able to stop him. And my man shut him down in the second half. He really did. He shut Brunson down, which is unheard of because, Brunson is kind of like Joel Embiid used to be. And what I mean by that is he knows how to bait you into fouls. And people get frustrated. They do this and that. And VJ Edgecombe basically had his hands up. He did everything he could, and he made life tough for him. And that was impressive, really impressive, more so than, him taking over in the don't get me wrong now, he did score a plethora of points in that third quarter, not like he did against Atlanta, but he kept them going. He had some nice dunks, but to me, the defensive thing was the most impressive.
I'm blown away by it. And I know it kind of helps when you have the comparison there of the two rookies in Cooper Flagg on Saturday night, as well as VJ Edgecombe. And VJ starting out that basketball game was a man on a mission. I have it in my note. He started out that game dropping, 14 of his 26 in his first 8 minutes of play against Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks. VJ Edgecombe, that's the offensive side. Defensive side was still just this, steady as it always is with him. But he rose to the occasion of the challenge of going up against another guy he's going to be compared to for the rest of his career. And the maturity of this guy against the Knicks, the maturity of this guy against the Mavericks is what really jumps off. He jumps out of the gym, but everything about his game jumps off the page and jumps off the film when you watch him.
Yeah, it does. And, it goes back to, the season opener, right? When I remember I'm at shoot around and this is his first game. And I'm looking at him like, this dude is full of, and I'm not going to say the word, but it's a 4-letter word, right? Begins with an S and it ends with a T.
Right.
Right.
You're not quite buying what he's selling.
Yeah. It has an I in there if you really want to, you want to figure it out. But
Can I buy an H? Can I buy an H? No, all right, sorry.
So I'm like, I'm talking to her and I asked some questions. I said, hey man, how did you sleep last night? You have any? Did you have any like butterflies, or were you nervous, or did you talk to anybody? And he says, man, I slept well. I actually slept well last night. And I'm like, and he gave me that look, and I'm like, dude, you're going to the Garden tonight, whatever. So anyway, he produced, and at that point, I said, hey, this guy is different. And then here's something else, Mark, that we gotta figure out. Like, and everybody, we talked about this before, but now everyone is starting to talk about it. Even Nick Nurse is talking about it, on how this guy, he'll have a bad game, a bad 3.5 quarters, and then all of a sudden they need somebody to make a clutch basket or make a clutch play, and he comes through. So it's like, this isn't normal from a rookie at all to do stuff like that. And he has that gene, and there's confidence. And now everyone's talking about it. It has a lot to do with him being on the Bahamian national team, playing with Klay Thompson, playing with all Buddy Hield, playing with Eric Gordon. Like, these guys instilled confidence in him, a long time ago. And it's impressive what he's doing. I mean, it really is. Everything he's doing is very impressive. They got to keep him involved, though. They have to keep the dude involved, but it's extremely impressive.
Well, let's focus on this. Half VJ Edgecombe, half Tyrese Maxey. People are really excited about what this backcourt can do for you for the foreseeable future. And Blake Griffin is there after the Prime game on Friday against the Knicks. And he's coming out talking about how this is Tyrese Maxey's team now and Tyrese Maxey's team going forward. And we've talked about it. And we agree with that. They still need Joel Embiid to be at least a very good basketball player to have a shot at winning, anything of significance. But when you talk about right now and the future, how excited, how warranted in your eyes are the people excited? The people excitement about VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey and what these guys could do together for the foreseeable future?
The excitement level is high, and it has to be. I mean, we think about,
but warranted in your opinion?
It's extremely warranted. Yeah, it is, and it's only going to get better. Right now, I feel like, I said we didn't come out and say the word, but I said, my guy was full of it before I spell it out. Right. I said he was full of it beforehand. I think he has to become. He got to become a little bit more of an a-hole, right? When it comes to it, no, I think like he has to be a little bit more. He's an extremely selfless player. I think that in a couple, and I understand why he is. You're a rookie, but you're the 3rd overall pick. But in order for the 76ers to be successful, he has to be the Robin to like in a couple of years to Maxey's Batman. Like right now, I think that you need Paul George, you need Embiid to play a little bit better. I love how Paul George is playing. You need Embiid to play a little bit better. But when I look at the team 2 years from now, this guy, they got to be, they got to be like Scottie Pippen and Jordan. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be Scottie Pippen and Jordan, but what I mean by that is if Maxey is 1, he has to be 1A, right? He has to, or 1B. He has to play at an extremely high level because he's a difference maker. He can do a lot of different things. And what I mean right now is there are certain times where the Sixers can easily say, be aggressive, be aggressive, be aggressive. Well, it's hard to be aggressive when you got somebody standing in your way, right? Or when you got other people that they're all-stars and, you're polite and you're deferring to them. But everything that everybody says about being warranted, yeah. I mean, we look at this right now, and so who do we compare them to? Do you compare them to? You got SGA and Jalen Williams, right? Mm-hmm. That's one of the best backcourts in the NBA right now. Mm-hmm. A young backcourt. The rest, who else? I mean, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. That's regarded as an elite backcourt, but they give up a lot of points because they're smaller. I think Maxey and Edgecombe are better than them. At least they're going to have the potential to be just because of what Edgecombe can do and defensively. So, yeah, man, all this stuff is warranted. This is going to be a phenomenal. And not only that, Blake Griffin knows what he's talking about. All the other ex-players who said stuff about it in the beginning of the season know what they're talking about. It's just not like some dude trying to get a soundbite to hope it sticks so they can be credible. These are great players that are saying it.
Right. It's not just clickbait or stuff that you hope goes viral. It's legit. And I see it the same way. And I will say this before we move on to the next thing. When it comes to Maxey and Edgecombe, I don't think there's anybody that is better to be next to Edgecombe than Tyrese Maxey, because I think Maxey has gone through what VJ is going through right now, which is kind of this, I want to be respectful of the veterans, and it's their team. I'm the rookie. I'll be here to help when needed. And Maxey, I think, had a lot of that in him. Really, really had a lot of that in him in the early goings of his career, where it was like, no. I can score. This is my play. I got to take this. He didn't have that initially. He almost needed a blessing from some of the veterans, and I think Maxey's a perfect person to give that blessing to VJ right now. And that's something I think will help the maturation process even more so with VJ.
No doubt.
All right, when we come back, this is one of my favorite stories of the weekend, or not even just the weekend, the season even. Talk about Dom Barlow and what he's been able to give this Sixers team. Also, Keith, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. But your question led to my biggest concern of the weekend. We'll talk about that after this. This is Locked On 76ers and the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. And right now, I'm going to tell you about the incredible people at Robinhood. You guys taking advantage of what Robinhood has to offer because it's fantastic. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do, locking in every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks, ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood Strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. And let's not forget about the Everydayer Club, people. Come on now. Everydayer Club is fantastic. You need to sign up. Thank you for making Locked On 76ers, by the way, your first listen every day. And thank you for making Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network out there. If you haven't already, go check out the new Everydayer Club. Access to ad-free audio feed for Locked On 76ers, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other major podcast applications, and invite people to members only as well. You guys can take advantage of this. It's fantastic. LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. Check it out for the Everydayer Club. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta, Locked On 76ers. Let's just get into Dom Barlow here, because this guy, 20-plus points. He comes up. Not as many rebounds as you'd like to see. What he come up with? 4 rebounds there against the Mavericks. But Dom Barlow this season has been, to me, Keith, the biggest pleasant surprise as far as what he's been able to give this Sixers lineup and this Sixers starting lineup as well.
Yeah, the best thing about Dom Barlow is if he didn't go to the overtime elite, he was going to be a Pit Panther. So you got to respect that about the man. Any dude who's about to be a Pit Panther, you have to respect him. Nah, Dom Barlow has been great, y'all. I mean, he really jumps out. I mean, he tied a career high with 21 points. No matter who you talk to, they're always pleased with him. And I think he was with not the Golden State Warriors, but the Spurs at the wrong time, because at that particular time, they had a lot of, fringe type players. Everything was built up around Wemby, this and that. And then as they, was getting better, then they wanted to get more I guess, polished players out there, older players. So then he leaves and he goes to Atlanta. Next thing you know, Atlanta gets a new general manager, and then he doesn't, he comes to the 76ers. But he is a guy who mastered how to play without the ball, play off of other people. And he also knows his role because of that, where, hey, look, they got PG, they have Embiid, they have VJ, they have Maxey. What I can do is just knock down a couple of big shots. And in addition to that, play great defense. And I'm going to do that. And then what happened is, it just so happens when you play a team, and when you're doing that, everybody else is on a scouting report. So you get a little left open. And then he was able to knock down some big shots against the Dallas Mavericks. So, yes, he jumps out to you. I mean, I did a poll today on X and then also on other social media platforms, asking people who has been the most impressive unheralded player on the Sixers. And, to me, I said I'll go first, and it's Don Barlow, and it's definitely Don Barlow.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Let's get to this here. So I'm listening to the post-game press conference here. By the way, I don't know if you saw it. Somebody wrote us, maybe it was on X, and they're like, I now know Keith's questions because I recognize his voice from the podcast. So first off, to that person, thank you for listening. And second, I heard your voice. Ask the question about Joel Embiid and a potential setback. The first thing Nick Nurse went to was the illness, but then he shifted to the illness, and then, there's a soreness in the knee, but, we'll hopefully get him going. We felt like we were on a good trajectory there for a minute, and now we're not, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, whoa, say what now? The soreness? We're all we've heard about is an illness. We haven't heard about soreness again in either knee for at least a minute, almost literally a minute. All it does is acknowledge concerns that already exist, but whenever it's acknowledged, it heightens the concern a little bit. What are we to take away from that, Keith? That this is just going to be what we all think it's going to be anyway, which is just, oh, yeah, he's good, and then he's got to shut it down. Oh, he's good, and then he's got to shut it down. Is this pretty much going to be the 2025-2026 season for Joel Embiid?
I mean, unfortunately, it could, right? I mean, I don't know 100% definite, but it's how it was last year. Now, if you look at a positive, he's at this particular point, he's played in 3 more games than he did last season through the first 27 games. But we also got to remember that he had a suspension. He missed this and that early on. So he missed a lot of games at the gate. So it may seem like in the beginning, it was like, when last year, when he finally started playing, he played in more, but this one he missed one. It's something that we said before, like we even got on air, something that you mentioned. It's like, Joel Embiid, he scores 29 points against the Raptors on November the 8th, and then he doesn't play again until November the 30th, right? So then all of a sudden he scores 39 points against the Indiana Pacers on December the 12th. He plays 2 days later, and we haven't seen him since, right? So, yeah, to me, it's kind of it's tough, right? Because you can't really depend on him. You just can't. Like, and I know we talked about also something. Yeah, what about the rhythm? Getting rhythm over time, like for the playoffs. Well, you got to develop that right now because it just seems like they're playing a little bit better. The pace is a whole lot better when he's not there at all. And then you look at the 3-point shooting, like, he's been struggling mightily from shooting the 3 in the last, 5 games? I mean, Joel is shooting 12% from 3 the last 5 games. So, he got to work on his game, but the only how you're going to work on your game is getting out there playing. And then, like you said, they're saying is rest, is management, is an illness. But the difference between the illness thing, the thing that I didn't really get was, okay, so he has an illness, but he was with the team at shoot-around that morning. When Tyrese Maxey had an illness, now I know there's different stages or there's different types of illnesses, but when Tyrese Maxey had an illness, he wasn't with the team. He didn't even fly with the team to Atlanta, right? But Joel Embiid was with the team. And then on Saturday, Joel Embiid, was on the court with his son before the game. So it's kind of like, does he have an illness or not?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah. Oh, I know exactly what you're saying.
So
by the way, to go to his, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Yeah, okay. Well, to your 3-point point that you made, Joel Embiid this year, it's been a struggle all year. He's shooting 22.6% from beyond the arc. 22.6% Joel Embiid this year. By comparison, Eric Gordon is shooting 62%. Adem Bona is shooting 50%. How about Adem Bona knocking down a three against the Mavericks there? And then Andre Drummond shooting 41.7% from beyond the arc. He's not even in the top 2 3-point shooting centers this year for the Sixers, Keith. I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but it does highlight the fact that it has been a struggle.
And it's only 3 centers. So I got that one. He's not even in the top 2. Yeah, it's been a struggle. I'm going to go off script right quick for you. And we'll get back to it. I got to make you laugh about Drummond. So
okay.
After the game, Drummond, and we're in New York, so Drummond hits 3 3-pointers, which is a career high. So a reporter, a really young, up-and-coming reporter, had a great question. So he asked Drummond, he said, look, I know Drum, but I know that you've been making threes for all season. But, I got to ask you about hitting the career high 3. And Drummond's like, yeah, what about it? So then afterwards, I was like, after I said, Drum, I know you get tired of people asking you questions, and the guy even addressed it. I said, but man, give him some slack, bro. You did hit a career high 3. You hit a career high. And he was like, yeah, I know. I said, the guy wasn't trying to kill you. And he was like, yeah, I know. But you could tell it's kind of like Drummond's to a point like, this is what I do now. Stop asking these questions. So I just had to get that out there because it was so hilarious at that particular time. But yeah, Embiid, he has to work on his game. He has to, right now it just seems like, unfortunately, he's missing a lot of games. And when he is out there, it slows it up a little bit. And I would love to see him playing next to Edgecombe so they can master Edgecombe. I want to see Edgecombe do what he's doing when Embiid and Paul George and Maxey are all on the floor, right? Mm-hmm. I'm tired of watching Edgecombe just sit around and watching the game, talking about, can I get in? Can I play? When all 3 of them are involved. So we got to, we have to see what he can do with Embiid's being out there, but Embiid has to play. He has to play.
I agree. That's one of the things I actually really liked. Even though Paul George only had 7 points against the Knicks, I still like that he was at least out there. And then the other part of it is the lineup, and I know you wrote this in your story as well, but this is fascinating. Against the Mavericks, for the final 13 minutes and 11 seconds, Maxey, VJ, McCain, Bona, Walker. That was the lineup the 76ers put out there for the final 13 minutes and 11 seconds. And they roasted him in the fourth quarter, man. They absolutely roasted him. That is pretty significant and pretty amazing. But I agree. When Embiid's out there, I want to see it again. I want to see VJ Edgecombe take even more charge. All right, when we come back, we've talked about the standings throughout this season, how tightly wrapped it is. We'll get into that. And also, could it be a gift in front of the Sixers? An early Christmas gift for the Sixers to get the Brooklyn Nets at this exact time. Talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers. FanDuel, you guys better be getting in on the action with FanDuel, having yourselves a great time. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels a whole heck of a lot different. That's what live betting can do for you with FanDuel. So exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're in the game. In real time, you can react. FanDuel, you can place bets as all the action unfolds in front of your very eyes. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. The receiver gets hot, defense tightens up, whatever the case may be. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly on FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com. Player props update as a guy heats up. You can jump on that action right now. Next touchdowns, whatever it might be. FanDuel has you covered. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and also, of course, make your NBA bets as well. Visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, so can you. So taking a quick glance, and I know, Keith, you do this on social media as well. You're way too early, looks at the Eastern Conference standings and all that. Well, we've talked about this really throughout the season, and these two wins. I did not expect the 76ers to win both games. I didn't expect them to beat the Knicks. They beat the Knicks. The Sixers right now are a half game above the Orlando Magic for the 4th playoff seed right now in the Eastern Conference. Pistons up 2 games on the Knicks. Then it's the Celtics 5 games off the pace. Sixers 5.5 games off the pace. So, yeah, the Sixers also just a game behind taking over the 3rd overall seed in the Eastern Conference. I got to say, 27 games into the season, I did not expect them to be occupying the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference right now.
No, I didn't either. And, one thing you said, they're a half a game ahead of a team, but they're also a half a game behind the Celtics. It's crazy, too, because at first we were talking about how bad the schedule is, and it does seem like that the 76ers did play a lot of losing teams and whatnot. But when we look at it now, you say, okay, number 1 team in the East is the Detroit Pistons. Now, they done played them twice. They lost to them twice. But then number 2 is what? The Knicks, Atlantic Division. Number 3, the Boston Celtics, Atlantic Division. Then the Sixers are number 4, Atlantic Division. And then the Toronto Raptors, number 5, Atlantic. So these teams, we're talking about 4 of the top 5 teams in the East are from the same division. You know what I mean? If you're the Knicks, you're like, the Nets, you're like, what happened to us? But so, when we talk about that, and again, it's still early, relatively early, 27 games. But at the same time, the Sixers have played all these teams. Now, they only played the Knicks once, but they played all the other teams multiple times. So, it's saying like, wow, well, maybe there is something here, for the 76ers, to build upon. But yeah, they're in a pretty good spot right now. A great spot.
I love where they're at. I know we got into this a little bit last week, but just to reiterate, man, we've seen Kelly Oubre miss substantial time. Joel Embiid obviously has been, when he has played individually, he's looked a lot better than some people would expect, myself being one of them. You haven't had Paul George for a long time. You have a rookie, VJ Edgecombe, emerging as one of your leaders on this team. Don Barlow has been a nice surprise, as we've talked about. You talk about this in the NFL a lot, and that's about playing your best basketball at the end of the season. The Sixers have a great opportunity to be doing that, but they're putting themselves in striking distance, certainly. They're literally in it right now. But if they could somehow avoid the play-in tournament, I'm going to be honest, right now, I expect them to be a playoff team. Right now, my expectation is they are a playoff team. They're not a play-in tournament team. They're a playoff team right now. I did not expect to be saying that with certainty 27 games into the season. This team has shown me a lot. And the fact that they've done it with significant injuries and other guys missing time. Look, don't get me wrong. The Celtics, what they're doing is insane without Jason Tatum. Good for them. They're incredible. But right now, the Sixers being in that conversation is a very pleasant surprise that, again, did not expect to be talking about at this point in the season.
Yeah, you're right, because at first when you asked me, I think last week, is this going the way I thought it would? I'm like, yeah, it was. But again, that was them being hovering around there, basically ending up as a playing team. But for them to be 4th in the East, no, I did not expect that, and especially when you consider, having Joel Embiid and Paul George injured is one thing. We knew that at the beginning of the season. We also knew that it would take Jared McCain a little bit to get into his rhythm and find his groove. But then when you factor in that Trendon Watford hasn't played a lot, Kelly Oubre has been injured for a while too. All these other injuries they had. But it's kind of sort of like, no, you didn't expect that. And the one guy we talked about, Don Barlow, another guy, Jabari Walker, who shut down Cooper Flagg in the 4th quarter of Saturday's game. So these are 2 dudes that, as a two-way guy, you don't expect much from them. So yeah, they've been going through a lot. And look at it, Justin Edwards been hot and cold, but when he's hot, he's been hot, right? So for them to be where they are right now, it's like, wow, you really didn't imagine it at all. None of it. You didn't imagine it at all in the beginning.
And I'm enjoying every second of it, I'll tell you that much. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta will be back with you guys tomorrow. Of course, don't forget about the Everydayer Club. If you guys haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for right now? It also makes a great last-minute holiday gift. Thank you for watching Locked On 76ers. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow, as I said. And make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys like, follow, all that good stuff. If you need a last-minute holiday gift, someone keeps asking, what do you get me? How about this? Get that 76ers fan, get that NBA fan, an Everydayer Club subscription so you guys can go ad-free episodes of this show, exclusive Discord server access, and more. Subscriptions can be gifted through LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow to break it all down even further. Thanks for watching this episode of Locked On 76ers.